Are you this morning? Feel free to continue to get your breakfast, continue to get a drink. We're going to start this breakfast meeting today. I want to thank, first of all, Christian Faith Center, Pastor Moore. Thank you very much for opening this up. They open up their facility to us at no charge. They provide breakfast. They do an amazing job, and we're very appreciative of you. So today we have a presentation for the Park and Rec Department about some of the investments and some of the things going on in the Park and Rec Department. We will have a discussion about Platt Golf Course because that's the whole reason why we picked this day to have this particular topic, because it was centered around the closing of the course, which did happen yesterday, and talking about where we came from with the Citizen Committee and what came out of the Citizen Steering Committee, as well as what the future could look like. That being said, I want to save any questions about CLAP and its future and anything that concerns CLAP until after we've had questions about the presentation today. I will be here to field questions about that. Our two gentlemen today from the Parks Department will be handling any questions about their presentation today. Brian, who is here today, his daughter has a birthday at 11 o'clock. And so we're going to dismiss him as soon as his presentation and questions are gone, and then we will move into the next phase of our presentation. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. My name is Brian Hill. I'm the manager of Ojibway Park. I also run the aquatics programs. I've got John Sidwell with me. He is over at Boston. I run all of our activities and programs over there. So one thing we're going to start with this morning is to talk a little bit, give you an update on the aquatics master plan. The designs are complete. We are at about 90% on our construction documents with our designer, and we'll be taking this out to bid sometime in August, early September. How this works is for our phase 1 projects close to this area, we'll be doing Ailey, McAdams, and Orchard pools. We'll be doing some renovations to those 3 sites. And then our 3 splash pad sites for phase 1 are going to be Boston, Edgemoor, and Evergreen. Like I said, the construction will hopefully begin sometime this fall. And as with good days, good weather, we hope to be able to open all these sites by summer of 2020. The next slide, I just have kind of design concept, show you what Ailey's going to look like. Ailey's going to be our competition pool. It's going to retain the 6-lane system that it has. But we are changing over the winding pools. They're kind of a thing of the past. The winding pools will be changed to more a splash pad area for kids to play in. We'll also add more shade structures. We're actually expanding the deck area. If you've been to any of our pools now, you know that the fence line kind of falls right there alongside the pool. It was convenient back then, but it's not really great for customers who just want to hang out, talk, lounge, see what's going on. So we're expanding the fence out a little bit, give more people area to congregate, to have fun, and to relax. We're also adding a climbing wall at this site. Boston is going to be one of our splash pads. We wanted to make sure all our splash pads in the city were very unique. We didn't want anything that just says you could go see any other city. So all of our splash pads are themed. Boston has an aviation theme, something that talks about a rich history here in Wichita. There's a lot of cool elements of planes designed in. There's fun play structure. A trainer plane looks like the Swallow, one of the first planes that was built here in Wichita, kind of an homage to the things that happened in Wichita's history. Once again, it's going to be in the footprint of currently Boston Pool. These are awesome amenities that instead of being only open from the end of May till basically the start of August, he's going to be able to open at the start of May. I'm sorry, but around close to the start of May, he'll be able to go all the way through October with operations. So we're very excited for the splash pads coming on board. We'll hand it over to John.
Just to go over I'm John. I'm in charge of Boston, Goldenrod, and Hilltop facilities. I'll just go over the basic stuff with the golf course. As you all know, it closed down on August 2nd. Proposed 2020 CIP funds will be used for master plan on the site, as they will go over more. And the community engagement will be essential, or has been essential, to help shape the future of the site. And as you have some printouts already in your hand, we'll go over, there's a couple concepts here, kind of ideas based off the rule or engagement. We'll go ahead and go to the next one. We have about 3 concepts right now. Right there. And we'll go over more of the golf here a little bit. Now, as far as our summer class registration, it's increased. As program directors, we get excited to see what we can do to implement things that are new to our area here. One of those things that we did this year at my facility, found out that tech camps, with it being really popular with the kids' age, that become more technology, I kind of realized that the only closest place that offers like these kind of classes, like tech classes, was in Lawrence. And we felt that that was a little too far for our residents to be able to go and get that kind of access to the new innovative camps. So we offered some tech camps that offered for ages 6 to all the way up to 17. They got to do themes like work on animation, do video game designing, 3D game designing, coding computers, and Roblox Studio. So pretty much your future of gaming and programming, since that's a big thing now. And since 2012, I've ran specialty camps. These are theme-oriented camps. We try to use our camps as specialty camps as more of a creative and more like a STEM camps, to where they're more hands-on. There's not so much free play as much as they get involved in our themes. And some of our themes that are up here are messy science. We do Water Frenzy, Nerf Wars, Lego Mania, Jedi Training, Color Wars, and Mythbusters. Plethora of them. We could just keep on coming out with new ones every year. We reached out to 369 participants. We brought in a revenue of $16,027. Linwood Recreation Center as well provided an archery class that was successful and filled the capacity with 24 participants with a revenue of $768. And then a free summer youth program was offered at Linwood on Saturday mornings from 10 a.m. to 12. It featured recreation activities and food for up to 50 participants. As you can see, we have a new playground that will be installed at Boston. It will be starting here sometime in the month of August, and it will be going over a span of 119 weeks, leading to mid-December, hoping completed based off, inclement weather. But ideally, we're seeing that it will be completed hopefully by mid-December, which will be perfect because we'll have a new playground and a splash pad, hopefully all completed for the new summer, and we'll have a new look at the park.
We've got a lot of exciting events coming up that we just kind of wanted to share with you. Today, actually, at the Evergreen, we're having our Splashtacular. It is the last day the Evergreen pool will be a pool. So we're kind of going to send off with it. It's a free day. We have other activities scheduled. Hope the weather holds for us, but we're very excited for that today. August 19th is our Dog Days of Summer over at College Hill, where people can bring their dogs over to the pool and go swimming. We're excited. It's one of those big events that keeps growing every year. It's a good fundraiser for the Humane Society. And so just want to make sure that's got on your guys' calendar. On August 24th, we are bringing the music back to Watson Park. We are having a free concert. 2 bands are coming out to us, starting around 7 o'clock on the 24th. Very excited to see how this one goes. It's kind of our trial run this year. For next year, we're looking at doing like a whole series of concerts out at the park or possibly in other locations. Then Open Streets on the 22nd.
Yeah, and it runs from 12 to 5. I don't know if any of you guys have been there, but it is a great experience. A lot of the businesses come to the sidewalks to where they're just right there along your walking path. It's a 4-mile stretch all the way from College Hill to Delano. Last year, we brought in 35,000 people. And I mean, that's a lot of people for our local businesses to reach out to. So it's really prominent that we support that, and keep that going. But we will be doing it again. And we actually got a KRPA recognized for that event that we put on here in Wichita. So that was a very good chance for us to put Wichita highlighted in the state of Kansas and nationally. We also do our snow day and snow globe. This will be our second annual time doing that. What that is last year we used the Indian Center that had a very steep hill, had great news coverage on it, radio, KSN, they all came out. And what it is kids gonna bring their sleds and families, and they're gonna just go sledding. And if there isn't snow on that particular day, we have it lined up with snow bros who actually shoot out artificial snow. And this is for anyone in any of the districts to come to. In fact, all these upcoming events isn't just for district oriented, it's for every district to participate, to come together as a city and celebrate the great events that we do put on. Then we also have our snow glow, which is where we do it in the evening. We get live DJs, we have hot chocolate, fire pits, to keep warm, and it's been a great event. And so this year we're going to go and do it again. We don't have exact dates yet for it, so keep your eyes peeled on our website. We should have dates by mid-fall for it. Last year it was in January when we had them, so I'm anticipating it'll be January again.
And just kind of give an update on what's going on over at Watson Park. This year we completed our concession stand remodel. Our 1970s themed concession stand has been upgraded to something a little bit more modern to add some more access for our customers and puts out our features a little bit nicer. It looks really nice. We've added a sound system to the park that we can do announcements. We also can have kind of music playing in the background, do some nice little ambiance as you come to the park, the difference of different channels. We're still kind of tweaking the system and figuring out what exactly stations and how we want to play the music on a given day. If we're going to have a country day or a classic rock day, but we're still playing around with that. This year, our Summer Ball League grew to 45 teams. We've never had more than 23, so having 45 teams in our league was very exciting. We split them up into multiple days. It's something that's really grown at the park. It's something that we're looking at investing more in the future as we move forward. Kayak rentals have just been incredibly awesome as they keep it growing this year. We are running about 6 to 10 rentals a day out at Watson Park for just people stopping by. We've been doing the floats at the park. Unfortunately, the river has not been very friendly with us. With the flow rates, we haven't been able to do many floats on the river. We've only actually got 1 down so far this year. Usually we have about 8 by this time. However, the flow rates have started to come down. So we were supposed to have 1 last night that got canceled because of the weather. But our next one is next Saturday. That will be a sunrise float that we're excited. One thing that we added this year was instead of just doing floats where we have more on the river, we've added themes to them. The most popular by far is the Glow Tour. We do this one where it's a little bit later at night. The boats are outfitted with LED lights. People have like glow sticks and glow rings and necklaces on and play some music, and people have a blast. We had a lot of fun events this summer over at Watson. I started with Youth Obstacle Run back in May. Then we also had our annual OK Kids Day. We reached about 1,000 kids. It's a fun free day where kids come out and kayak and do archery and enjoy some of the rise activities. Give out hot dogs with prizes. The biggest thing is fishing clinics. We go teach these kids how to fish. It's one of the most amazing things happening at Watson Park. You know, all the fun things you can do outdoors and out in the country, literally in the middle of your town. It's really awesome. It's great to see all the kids come out that have never done anything like this before. We had a movie night just a few weeks ago where we watched Jurassic Park. So it got a little hot, but it was still a fun time for those people that came out. One thing I wanted to show a picture of today is we're very excited what's coming in. We're finalizing the designs for it, but we will have a new all-season indoor shelter that's going to be installed at the park. We hope it'll be open for next year. This is going to be a larger indoor shelter than what we currently have. So we're looking for people to hold, family reunions, weddings, corporate retreats. It's going to hold about 140 to 150 people. It's got a nice little walkway that walks down to the recently installed gazebo from National Park that's been relocated over at Watson Park. That's actually going to be part of this system, so people can, have their venue or their activities here. And you can walk down. You can use the gazebo as part of it if they want to use that for their weddings or things like that. It's a great infusion to the park. We're very excited to have this amenity. We currently have a small indoor shelter that holds about 50 people. It's about half the size of this room. It's not very friendly, but it's by far the most rented facility we have. Just people really like to have the ability to have an indoor facility. So we're very excited to have this future shelter coming on board for 2020. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we discussed, minus the clap, we'd be glad to answer them. Yes?
I don't have a question, and of course I know it's the age of electronics, so it has a phone, but every time you guys put out printed material, I don't know why you don't put the actual address on that printed material. I don't have any idea where Boston Park is.
Okay, Boston Park is located off of Woodlawn between Harry and Lincoln. It's technically just a little bit east District 3. It's kind of like right there on the line, District 2 and District 3. I'm sorry?
Northeast.
Southeast. Southeast, yeah, between Lincoln and Harry.
Or you said 53, I didn't.
Yeah, it's all right there off Woodlawn between Harry and Lincoln, right there.
I just think if you want people to utilize it, if they have a printed material in front of them, they have the actual address. Might help.
Sure.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's
Guys do a great job.
Yeah, good suggestion. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Has more money been appropriated for the design elements of the flight pads? A couple months ago, we were at the design council, the consultants presented a lot of ideas, but the board asked them to separate what we have money for, so they can comment on that. The money we can't. So has there been any movement for additional enhancement?
Yeah, so we have a total of 20 million coming to the project for all the pools and the splash pads. We went through to look at the design elements, the artistic elements. Over 30% of the project is going towards arts and aesthetics. So yeah, we're very excited to see what we've got. All those items, remember from the council meeting, are the column A items. Then there was the column B items. All of the column A and B items have been kind of combined to make sense for each site. Our local artists are super excited to see what we've got going on. It's the final plans actually going back to city council later this month for viewing, but we're very excited to see what we've got coming on board.
And let me continue to answer that question. So on Tuesday's meeting, I believe it's on the consent agenda, we have increased the budget for some of that design work. It's a design contract, $150,000. So we took, because we didn't want just A or just B. We liked everything we saw. We wanted to make sure that we were doing it right. So we combined them, the things that made sense, and that's what you're going to see.
Great. Thanks, John.
So yes, to answer your question.
Yes, sir.
I think it's at Boston Park. You're adding, you said a new playground.
yes, sir.
Now, are you adding a playground or replacing?
For what it looks like from the design, it looks like they're going to be overlaying where the playground used to exist. They're going to be putting a concrete underlaying surface with a protective surface, a multi-color, so it should be a lot more colorful over there. Right now we have like a lot of sand around them and that are collecting like pine cones and things over time, and the weeds are growing through. So we think that going with that concept is going to be a lot more sticking out and attractive for the park there. But especially with how colorful that splash pad, we have to kind of keep up with that and kind of trend over there. But yeah, it looks like there's a lot of open space over there too. And I think it's more friendly for wheelchair accessibility and things like that over there than what currently with the sand being over there. So I think it's a really good thing that's happening over there. And I would encourage you guys to come take a look. By next spring, this should be in. So yeah, we encourage you to come take a look and give us your thoughts.
Will anything be done to the basketball court there?
As of right now, I put in a request for CIP money for it. Doesn't mean it'll happen to this year, especially with a lot already being done at Boston. We want to make sure we're spreading it amongst districts. So that is the goal. I see that being a sore thumb. Also, we're looking to get the lines painted in the parking lot. I'm actually, actually all our rec centers are looking to do that. Minus Edgewater's already completed, and we're looking for volunteer groups to assist our public works systems to cut those costs down. So if you know any volunteer groups, whether it's church groups, whether it's school groups, or anyone, or if you just have a huge family, hey, let's make it a family event. Let's do it. But yeah, we're looking to make a lot of changes around the building. We're looking to get the building painted. So I don't have dates on those, but yeah, we're looking to make a really big change out there. So.
I'd like to express gratitude for all those who were involved in the work that was done down the street at Lincoln Park recently. We had some violence across the street, and I noticed there's a lot of things going on over there. I know that Mr. Pendleton was involved, and the park department did a lot of cleanup and installed new lighting, and I noticed families were coming back, and that's all good.
Yeah, Director Troy
Sounds
Hellman.
right on that. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was already in the works, but I talked to his office.
Daddy.
Maddie, I talked to Maddie.
Daddy's
Very much. It jumps right on it and it's 100% better.
Yeah, and our director Troy Hellman has talked how important our parks are. You know how much they've been underutilized and how much we want them to increase in utilization. Along with that, he's very big on special events. You know, so if you notice, since he's coming to town, our special events have increased. So I mean, that community engagement's important to him, and he's pressed that along to us as his staff. So we're glad that that work that we're putting in is being noticed. So that's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, two things. One is, get with me afterwards and pick up my card and I'll connect you with some volunteers. And the other thing is, are we still housing Butler Community College at Boston Rec?
Yes, we currently are. I'm sure some of you guys have saw in like the news that they tried to move downtown into Fire Station 20, I believe,
Yes.
down there. But Wichita State put a hold on that. They were like, we'll allow you at Boston, but we don't want you getting too deep in our territory. Now, from the word of it, it sounds like they're in concepts of Wichita State University Tech and Butler combining. As far as where they're on talks, would be probably a couple years away from moving out of the Boston Rec Center facility. But right now they've been there since 2012. But as far as we haven't had anything really set in stone meeting as far as like this is going to happen. Butler's trying to work out all those kinks with Wichita State first, and then that's when we're going to get a little more involved on that.
And I can elaborate a little bit more. Everything you said was exactly accurate. I met with Sudha Tokola, I think is her last name,
Yep.
who is redoing the old state office building, the Hutton building. She has the old Henry's. Everybody knows where Henry's was. If you've gone downtown at all, there's a ton of construction. She got a tour the other day of all those facilities, and she has gutted the Henry's building, and she is turning it. She's leaving the historical elements in it. It was in horrible shape. She is going to put with WSU Tech and Butler County. She is trying to put that in there with the culinary school in that building, and then the whole bottom floor would be a food court. So those people from the culinary school and some other businesses could have kiosks there and have a huge downtown food court. So it's kind of a neat concept. The culinary school would be upstairs, and those culinary schools would have a couple of the kiosks to sell their food and kind of teach them the business side of doing catering and preparing food. So,
And I can tell you from experience, having to work there every day, smelling that food. Every once in a while, I get lucky and I get to be a taste tester. It's really good. It's actually really good. Like, I mean, you're talking about like your classy style. I mean, you feel like I'm pampered, you know. And Chef Cole, their bakery guy, amazing. Like, and Chef John Michael there too. I mean, he's just, fantastic as well.
Yeah, while we was on education, Vice Councilman presented, can you expand on what Wichita State is doing there at the old Harry Mall?
Yeah.
Expand.
So they actually opened WSU Tech there. They are doing all sorts of things from some of the nursing students are over there doing some of the classes to they're doing computer coding. They're doing lots of tech type related things. I think they're also teaching filmmaking classes, and the list of things that they're doing over there are just tremendous. It's a great place to have it because a lot of the students that live around that area, especially the lower income students, are really being exposed to exposed and what's the word I'm trying to resources for that type of education are being made available. And it's something that we don't have a lot of in our community, and so WSU Tech has expanded kind of their scope of what they're doing from just automotive or building airplanes to actually the tech side of things, and it's really kind of a neat thing over there. We probably wouldn't be a bad thing to even have one of our district advisory board meetings over there and do a tour of it, because it's a pretty neat facility.
Any more questions? All right, well, thank you.
What kind of attendance is there at O.J. Watson Park these days? What's
Uh,
the minimum attendance?
We're growing every year. It keeps going up. Last year, our number was 240,000 for the year, which was up about, I want to say it was up 8% from the previous year. Something that we've already looked at for this year, we're way ahead of schedule. We kind of changed our operations a little bit. I probably should have talked about. Usually we'll have rides that kind of go, we start kind of spring break, they'll kind of go through till the fall. We try to do them every day, and then the summertime we always do like this morning session. Then we'd have to close down for a while, then we'd open up again later for the night, for like a night session. I hated that. I hated having a split shift because we were losing too many customers that were showing up. So we went to a more seasoned approach. So we did our spring break, and then we did rides only on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And then when schools went out, starting with Memorial Day, we actually opened every day at the park for rides 10 to 8. So we're in our summer session, so we didn't have a break in time. We're doing that through until school reopens. And then we'll go back to our Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Attendance for May, June, and July were, I think they went up almost 27% from the previous year. Great attendance. Had a lot more people coming out to do shelter rentals on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I showed up one day, it was like a Tuesday afternoon, and we had 5 shelters going, which is something we never see except on weekends. So I was really excited to see people coming out and really utilizing the park.
That's phenomenal. Thank you for the information.
How are you measuring attendance?
Sorry?
How are you measuring attendance?
We base it off of our rentals, looking at what rentals we have. We go off ticket sales, people come to the park, and then our rangers do cruises in the park on regular times. We kind of keep track of how many cars we see, ones that we've seen change, stuff like that.
Are there any more questions? All right, well, thank you for
Thanks,
having
guys.
us. And if you're not on Facebook, if you'd like to, if you're on Facebook, I like the Wichita Park and Recs page because we do have a lot of stuff that we put on there featuring our programs that are coming and kind of let you know what's going on with your Parks and Recs. So if you do have access to Facebook, I suggest you like our page, and that way you're kept up to date.
Thank you.
And the new Park and Rec guide has come out as well. You can pick the new Park and Rec guide up from any one of our park locations, including City Hall, the neighborhood city halls, and I think you can also see that guide online as well. Okay, that being said, the next, I know we have a lot of questions about Clapp Golf Course. We have a lot of comments about Clapp Golf Course. So I wanted to make sure that we were able to get those in. Just so everybody knows, and I don't think I mentioned it at the beginning, we are live on Facebook, so the community can watch our district breakfast. We started doing that with our district advisory board meetings, and we want to make sure that the whole public gets to see what's going on, because not everybody can make it. I have passed out, and I don't know if everybody has gotten a copy. I don't know if we have enough copies for everyone. The work product from the Citizen Review Committee.
These also have the images in it.
And okay, good. And then the Wichita Park and Recreation also passed out some of the scenarios that are down here. And those people that are watching online cannot see these scenarios, but you can go to wichita.gov and you can pull these scenarios up online. If you just search Clapp in the search bar, there will be several places where you can go. It is on the District 3 page on the City of Wichita's website as well. So that information is out there, and that does include the whole Wichita State and Transformation Committee work product. That being said, yesterday was the last day officially for Clap Golf Course to be open. Last year, the Golf Advisory Committee and the Park Board both voted to close Clap Golf Course. It's a little bit of an interesting situation. Clap Golf Course is actually owned by the Park Department. The Golf Advisory Committee is appointed by the Park Board. But the city of Wichita is responsible for the enterprise fund for Clap Golf Course. The enterprise fund was set up in the 70s, the mid to late 70s. I think it was around 1977. I was only 3 at the time, forgive me, but so I don't remember that. But it was set up in the interest of making golf sustainable. At the time, there was a movement of citizens that did not want to subsidize golf out of the general fund. They wanted the golf system to generate its own funds and be able to make its own improvements based on what it was generating. And at that time, I think anybody that was golfing at that time, golf was pretty huge. Golf was, you had some of the great legends that were still playing golf well before Tiger Woods, and it was huge. It was thriving. Due to several factors, and we can elaborate on some of those factors, due to Auburn Hills being built, which spread the golf course, the golf system thin, and a decline in golfers nationwide over the past decade, we started to see a decline in our golf system. It really has, well, I say the last decade, in the last 8 years since I've been on council, there has always been a movement, and I just found out the other day, someone told me back in the 80s, there was a movement for people to close Clap Golf Course. I haven't had that confirmed, but ever since I've been on the council, there were 2 attempts previously to this to close the golf course. Plus, there was an attempt to sell the corner of Clap Golf Course by the Park Board. We as a community did an amazing job at being able to stave off those attempts in the past. New council, new Park Board, new 8 years later, and the Park Board and council decided that they did not want to continue to subsidize the golf system out of the general fund. That is something that, as a council member for this district, I can't fight them against because of the way, well, I say I can't fight. The fight that I have not been able to win against this council. This council, I'm not sure what to say, other than this council has decided that if we're going to subsidize anything, that it needs to be a park, that it needs to be available for everyone to use. If it's going to, if general obligation, your property tax dollars are going to be used on it. So that being said, when the Park Board decided that they wanted to shut down golf out of Clap Golf Course, I had a couple different courses that I could take. If anybody read the article in the Wichita Business Journal that they did on this, I said in that article that I could dig in my heels and I could be obstinate about it, or I could do what I could to protect the green space. Because as soon as the Park Board decided that they didn't want golf to be out at Clap Golf Course anymore, calls started coming in from developers. Calls started coming in, people interested in wanting to know if we were going to sell it. Somebody even put a plan together to sell off the whole Oliver side of the golf course, which is something that had been tried previously. And the last thing that I can let happen is that green space to be taken away from this community. Having the council and the golf advisory committee and the park board decide to close it down is bad enough. And I know it's devastating for a portion of the community. But if I want to make sure that we are investing in that park and keeping it green and keeping it kept up and keeping it mowed and making sure that people have access to green space in that area, I decided that I would put together a steering committee of citizens. Sharon, you were on that steering committee. Cindy was on that steering committee. Anybody else? Hoyt was on that steering committee. The Stevens, I say you both are probably on that steering committee. I know John has his opinions. So we have several from that steering committee here. And I want to actually invite you guys to answer any questions that you feel that you would like to answer as they come up as well. The steering committee was tasked by me to simply come up with ideas for the community. If it could not be a golf course, what could it be? What did the community think was acceptable for that green space to be, other than commercial development? And I was very forceful in my comments with the committee in our preparatory meetings that commercial development is not what this is about. It's about park-related development, things that would support a park and support the community and the quality of life in the community. All around the country, cities are closing golf courses. Lonnie, was it you or Paul Davis or together sent an article to me? Actually, I think Paul sent it out and Lonnie had a hard time reading it because it was sideways. But it was hard to read. I flipped it over and read it. And it was about a golf course in the Carolinas that was shut down in a city. And the city did not have a plan for that green space once they shut it down. It overgrew, crime infested the area. Trees were not being trimmed. Actually caused some flooding. And was a bad situation. The last thing that we can allow happen to that green space is for it to not be taken care of, for it to decay and draw crime. It's the last thing that we can allow happen. And so this committee was tasked with the support of the city manager and the director of parks, Troy Hapman, to find out what the community wanted. We did 10 meetings around the community. To see, again, other than golf, what could this park be? The reason I continue to say other than golf is the current city council has no intention of opening Clapp Golf Course back up. The intention is to provide community space, to provide a place for community events, to provide community amenities, to enhance quality of life for everybody in the community. That's what I continually hear from other council members. That's what was said from the bench, from council members other than me. I did repeat that because honestly, I need to have the support of my fellow council members to make something spectacular happen there, other than concrete jungle, for the lack of a better term. Something needs to be put in place that will support the businesses in the area. We are in continual decline. There's been some restaurants, I think those that live near see that there have been some restaurants that have come, that have gone. The school is built up now, which is great. But we still have housing. We have commercial space up and down Oliver Street, on Harry, that's still in decline and still in decay. So what can we do to raise the community up instead of allowing Clap being closed to tear it down, to put it backwards? So that was my message to the steering committee in so many words. And this is what the steering committee has come up with. So the next phase, and those of you that have the WSU work product as well, the next phase now is for the city to take this work product, to take what the community had said, and actually put a master plan together. What a master plan will do is it will then put an official document that will be voted on by the city council in place that has maybe golf-related amenities, because that is actually mildly in the WSU report. There are a couple council members, including myself, that would mind seeing some sort of golf-related activities out at the golf course. It could be an amphitheater. It could be any of the things that you see. A sledding hill, speaking of sledding and artificial snow, dog parks, pavilions, walking trails, water-related activities. If we don't codify that in a master plan, then don't have a plan, then it does leave the door open for a developer to come in and buy pieces of the property without the community's wishes being codified on a plan. So in this 2020 budget, you saw it up on the screen, the city council is setting aside money to do more community engagement and to put a master plan together that the community can have more input over. So the discussion about golf is not over, because I'm sure at this point the community is going to have a tremendous amount to say about golf. The master plan will take this into consideration and whatever public feedback we get, and it will be put together by a third party that has no dog in this race. Okay, a third party that is simply there to take the feedback and put a master plan in place, somewhat like and in the vein of the current South Central master plan or community plan that we just put together. We had a neutral third party come in. They took public feedback, several sessions. They went to the neighborhood associations. They got public feedback from the neighborhood associations, and they put a master plan together for the South Central part of this part of Wichita. So that will take place over the next year. The master planning process should start before the end of the year. Once we approve the budget, the money will be available to be used. It is for the 2020 budget, but I have told the city manager that the master planning process needs to start in 2019 because time, in my business, city council's part-time in case anybody didn't know. In my business, my day job, we have a saying that time kills all deals. We don't want to let too much time go by and allow this to sit idle. We need to keep the irons in the fire and keep the community engaged on this process. That being said, I will open up for any questions anybody has and any criticism that anybody has.
James, during this time of the master plan, it was said that the course would operate until a master plan was in place. If you're talking a year before this master plan is in place, why isn't it being operated as it has been this summer? It's been operating on a very low overhead, and I would like to see those numbers for this summer because there's no pro there, and there has been a tremendous amount of play. It's got to be sustaining itself under this model, and I think there is a model that could be implemented for it to pay for itself And so during that year, this doesn't turn into something of blight and crime. And
So at the discussion was not that, so there were some semantical issues when we first started this process. We were calling this the master plan. This was the citizen engagement. And what was supposed to be, what the council's understanding was, and what the vote was at the council meeting, is that we would keep the golf course open until the citizen plan was done.
that is not really a plan. That
Well,
doesn't have funding. There's no really.
this did have funding, actually. We funded this. This actually costs close to $20,000.
There's no fund for the park.
So the fund that will be for the park will be budgeted and will be the funding for the actual master plan based on this community engagement is funded in the 2020 budget. As far as the CIP goes and funding any improvements for the park, absolutely that hasn't been allocated yet because we have not finished with the master plan. So until the master plan is done, we're not going to allocate money to the park.
So what's
For
going
any
to
specific-
happen?
So in the meantime, the park will be opened up to the community, for the community to come in and use, for the community to come take jogs through, walk their dogs through, have picnics, and enjoy it like they would any other green space. It will be opened up to those people that haven't had access to the park in the past. That's the plan at this point. It will be, I think somebody talked to the park department. Hoyt, I think talked to the park department. They said it's going to be on a 14-day mow cycle. I'm telling everybody it's going to be on a 14 to 21-day mow cycle. We know how those contractors are, and if, which by the way, that's all of our parks are on that mow cycle, not just this park. Yes, Mike.
Well, one thought, to try to draw people in, to keep people into the parks, we don't have problems would be, go ahead and set up the stanchions, disc golf, which
Yes.
are in storage right now and could be made immediately available.
That's what is going to happen. I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
We want to make sure there's activity in the park. Just like any park, whatever activity is there, parks help keep crime away. It's that way. And so making sure that disc golf is being played because everything's already in place. There had been some talk, and I don't know if this is what was decided by the park department, keeping foot golf around to be played out there was also one of the things that we can continue to have activity in the park. And you know what? That north part of Platt Park where you're looking straight down, I don't know if that's the first tee or not because I don't play golf. But if you're looking straight down the first tee, I've had many people express that they would like to use that to practice their chip shots and to practice some of their iron play. So, and we actually have that already done at other parks. If you go over to Oak Park and Sim Park, there are a couple places where people go out there and practice some of those shots. Oh, Michael, you had a question?
Yes.
Oh, she did. Michael?
Yeah, on one of these pictures, I noticed you have a parking right off of Mount Vernon, right in the middle of the park. If Mount Vernon's turned into three lanes eventually.
Not that part of Mount Vernon. There's no plans right now on Mount Vernon in front of your house.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that-
didn't want to make it personal.
Well, no. Well, that's what you're speaking of, though. Mount Vernon in front of.
With 3 lanes of traffic, east-west turn lane, and somebody's parked regress into the park and trying to get in and get out.
Yeah.
And you're gonna supposedly bike paths, or we talked about it one time. I thought it might create a little bit of a traffic problem.
Yeah.
And what I'm leading to is I'd like to see a recommendation on, is it Clifton, where the school is? If we had more adequate parking on that street, at the southwest corner of the park, when the park's not in use so much in the wintertime, it would be a great benefit to the school district. And I don't want to give anything to the school district because they've got all the money they need, but I just hope they use logic when they put these parking spaces in, not to create a traffic jam, but also benefit other things besides the park.
Well, nothing's been decided. Obviously, we just have 3 scenarios that came out of the group. Where parking would be, I mean, at one point, somebody,
I think it's the last picture. You got,
concept 3.
well, yeah, there by the corner of the southwest corner, you got parking, and the arrow runs right straight into the middle of the part of the park. And it's got little dark spots on mine. I don't know exactly what that means.
So there would have to be parking on the edge. First of all, let me address Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon is going to turn to 3 lanes from Oliver to Woodlawn. There are not any plans right now to turn it to 3 lanes over in front of or next to Clap Golf Course at this point. You're sad about that?
We have drag races down there all the time.
Well, we had money, federal money, that qualified that other part for the 3 lanes. It's actually taken me 5 years, 6 years now to get that project done. So, and one of the reasons why we were able to get federal money is the accidents that were happening at Edgemoor. A couple people have gotten killed. And so that allowed us to be able to get that federal money. But restriping it for the future is not out of the realm. If that is done, though, traffic engineering would have to do a traffic study to figure out how they would make it safe.
Yeah, like over at Riverside, where they have parallel parking, where you have to pull in and then pull out, not back out. That,
Yeah.
even that seems safer than having back out parking.
Yeah, the angled parking on the street, that just is not safe. That's not going to happen. There would be, what has been talked about is if parking is, actually everybody has said we need more parking out there if you're making a park.
Yeah.
It would need to be like you see at some of our parks where they have the posts demarking where around the parking space, and it would be an asphalt parking lot.
Thank you.
So I want to, because somebody, I'm not her, I don't know who, there are continued comments that we already know what we're going to do with Clap Park. There are continued comments that none of this stuff means anything, a master plan doesn't mean anything, and we already know what we're going to do with Clap Park, and that's just the end of it. And I don't do this stuff for my health. I don't go through these exercises and doing 10 public engagement meetings and making the city spend money on a master plan and wasting everybody's time. The 11 citizens that were on this board, that were on this, shame on me if I allowed them to waste their precious time on putting together some scenarios that would save our green space. Now, you're just a little touchy about it right now. The city manager and I have been explicit with staff, that whatever happens in this park is going to be citizen-led. I'm sick and tired of people taking things from Southeast Wichita, and I know you are too. The golf course stinks. It is not fun. I do not enjoy this whatsoever. And if that golf course, if the park board and the city council are going to close down a golf course, it is incumbent upon me as your representative to make sure that the city is investing in our neighborhood, one way or the other. And I am doing everything I can to take the lemons that are being handed to us, and I'm going to continue to say this, and make lemonade out of it. I love lemonade. I do not like lemons. I'll get to you. I have been a tireless advocate for our community. I've been a tireless advocate to save the golf course. We've stopped it twice as a community. I've been a tireless advocate. I even presented in front of the park board to save this golf course before the park board, the same day the park board voted to shut it down. I was advocating to keep the golf course open. There's at some point that I have to decide as your representative that I'm going to make sure that something isn't taken away, but that something is given to us, the whole community, not just a group of people, and God forbid, I'm sorry for saying this, that can afford to play golf in the golf system. I have communities, 6 neighborhood associations that surround Clap Golf Course. And every single one of those neighborhood associations that I've gone to, and I've mentioned that everybody is going to have access to that park, people are floored. They are so excited that now they're going to have access to a piece of park property that they've never had access to. Do I still want golf to be at Clap Golf Course in some fashion? Absolutely I do. That's my first option. The writing is on the wall. This council has made their decision, and I cannot allow us to have something taken away without something even more given back. I apologize for being so touchy. I normally don't get this emotional about an issue, but this right now is about a fight for our community's identity. It's a fight against things being taken away from us. With Clap closing, the perception is that that's not the case. And I understand that the community doesn't trust that City Hall is going to do what it said it's going to do. But after my 8-year track record so far, I'm begging you to give me the benefit of the doubt for everything that I have done to preserve our community and stop the decline. No longer do I hear people on the city council say we don't want to invest Southeast. No longer are we not getting the investment in our roads that we weren't getting before. We are constantly seeing things added as amenities. And we'll talk about the library here in just a second because I know you're interested about the Linwood Library. Go ahead. I apologize for my passion.
But James, I think a lot of the frustration from neighbors and golfers is that our voice of wanting to retain 9 holes or 12 holes at the course has not been heard. And council makes the votes, but the council works for the people. They should be hearing what we are saying, and we feel like our voice has been squelched. But I also want to say that the GAC and the park board both recommended to the council that we bring in an independent review of our whole golf system, because our whole golf system is in trouble with the top-heavy administration fees. It's, Clap may be only the first golf course we lose, but
right.
there are a lot of expenses that went on at Clap that could be contained. But if we brought in an independent review, they have seen these scenarios all through the country, and they could provide perhaps suggestions and options where we could combine both a community park and 9 holes or 12 holes, and we would have a revenue generating enterprise there. We would be more self-policing, and it seems like it could be a good compromise for the whole community.
I absolutely agree that an independent study needs to be done. You and I are on the same page. The next golf course to be closed is McDonald. That's the next one that is the next least performing. I'm not saying there's no discussion now. Let me just say this because it will be on record. There's absolutely no discussion right now about closing McDonald, okay? But McDonald is the next least performing golf course. It is the next logical choice. It's a logical, if you're speaking finances, it's the next logical choice to be closed. We don't want that to happen.
That's why we need to look at our whole operational.
You're absolutely right. I want to. So when the first discussion first started, we had a meeting out at Platte Golf Course that close to 100 people came to. The community's voice was heard there. I had 2 meetings. One that we thought was going to be before a park board meeting, and they decided to cancel the meeting. The park board did. At City Hall, about 80 people showed up to it. Some very passionate people. Their voice was heard. I had another same meeting next 2 weeks later, right before the park board meeting, to let people voice their opinions. Everybody's voice was heard there. Believe me, the council members knew what came out of those meetings. And at the park board meeting, my voice, including the community's voice, was heard. So I do disagree that golfers didn't have the opportunity.
I'm not just talking golfers, though. I'm talking about neighbors as well.
Everybody was invited to come to those meetings. Everybody. Nobody was told that they couldn't speak. Nobody was told that they couldn't. As a matter of fact, I invited people up to the podium to talk to the group. And it was the whole community that was invited. Yes.
I think.
But we absolutely agree on the independent study.
Well, can you
I'm
push
gonna
for
give you-
that?
I'm gonna give you
Already
credit
have been.
for the good fight.
Already have been.
But I think what boils down to me is we have a transportation system, a bus system, and it's supported by federal funds, city funds, and ridership shows 90,000 a month, but it's the same 4,000 or 5,000 people riding it daily. We're building 75.
That is not true, but okay.
Well,
I
it's
just,
pretty close to being true. I don't think we have 80,000 people riding that bus.
we have
people.
anywhere between 2.5 and 3 million rides a year.
Yeah,
So
but
divide it by
but
day.
it's a
and that
small
would be-
group of people that use it. My point is, we're supporting a small group. We're building a $75 million stadium, which will hold 10,000 people if we fill it. And that's a small group. So my perception is that there are other things in town that are being supported by the city with a large amount of money for a small group, not the 350,000 of us that are here. And so I think sometimes you think that some small groups don't get their fair share. And we understand that golfing is declining. They only had maybe 5,000 to 6,000 rounds of golf at Clapham, and you need, I think, maybe 12,000 to 15,000 to make it profitable. But it just seems like 2 years ago, they couldn't come up with ideas like the Snow Pro thing. They're almost equivalent to the water bill. So it seemed like there were other things that should have been considered, I guess. And when you lose a part of history, you want to blame somebody. I'm not trying to blame you, but we're trying to find somebody to blame.
I took this job knowing that I would get the blame.
I think you've done a fantastic job on the things that you've been working on. But we feel like we were let down, I guess.
So absolutely, I understand. Well, first of all, about the baseball stadium, there are no general fund tax dollars going in to pay for the baseball stadium. If you use it, you're paying for it. So there's a little bit of a different scenario with the baseball stadium. The guy who's going to operate the stadium is going to pay the city $250,000 a year for the use of the stadium. On top of it, the operator of the stadium is responsible for all maintenance and for the upkeep of the facility. The city is not responsible for that. So there's a few things with the baseball stadium that that make that very different.
Is that a written contract?
It is.
But what happens if they fail and they don't live up to the contract?
So the whole reason why, so in the past, we've had a AAA baseball team, actually AA baseball team affiliated with Major League Baseball. And they left and left a hole, right? And the Wingnuts came in, and the Wingnuts started operating it as an independent baseball league. We have gotten a commitment contractual commitment from Major League Baseball, from minor league baseball, that we will now always be considered a AAA baseball team, which means if this team decides to leave, that they will bring in a team to replace it. Okay? We have never had those guarantees in the past for Major League Baseball. So that changed the game a little bit for us. On top of it, the baseball stadium complex is not just for baseball. Already 100 of the 200 events that will happen out there every year have already been planned. High school baseball, high school football, because the school system doesn't have enough stadiums to be able to do their schedule the proper way. They will be played out there. There are plans for people to come and watch movies in the outdoors on the field. There's thoughts about and ideas for putting an outdoor ice skating rink out there and creating a Christmas village for kids and families in the wintertime. Obviously, there are people that won't come here to do concerts because they don't want necessarily the price of Intrust Bank Arena, but they would love to have an outdoor venue. This will have seating for 18,000 people to do outdoor concerts. Intrust Bank Arena only could do 14 to 15,000. And so and that's just scratching the surface. So, it's supposed to be a multi-use stadium. There are supposed to be restaurants around it. The museum will be around it with Wichita's amazing history in baseball. If you don't know some of the historical people that have been through Wichita playing baseball, it's phenomenal. So I guess my point is, you use it, you pay for it, and it's going to be more of a multi-use facility other than a baseball stadium. It made no sense for us to do what we've done in the past because you're right, it's failed. It hasn't worked. And so we've had to do things differently and more thoughtful this time in doing it. Let me address the bus system real quick. The bus system's broken. The reason you only get mostly low-income riders on the bus system is because it's hard to navigate. It takes twice, 3 times, 4 times as long to get to your destination. But if you ask any job placement agency in the city of Wichita, the number one barrier to people getting aircraft jobs and new jobs that require that sort of training is the ability for them to get to work. Our bus does not run on second shift. You can get there on second shift, but it doesn't run after 6, so people can't get home to and from second, third shift jobs. But the primary use for our bus system is to get people to engage in commerce and to engage in having a job. That's the primary use. And so again, I can't compare our bus system and the subsidy for our bus system to Clapp Golf Course because the numbers aren't exact for our city, but nationally, there is a 4-to-1 return on the investment that you make in a public transportation system. We know, just based on unofficial numbers, that we are returning more to the community through our bus system than we are subsidizing it for. So again, in that scenario, still not comparable. I appreciate the thought though, and the question.
May I add something on the bus system,
Sure.
since you brought it up? I agree that it's kind of the city's job. I feel it's the city's job, and I feel the city's not doing its job in providing a robust bus system that people can actually use and count on to get to where they need to go. And that includes visitors to the city who may not want to rent a cab or use Uber or a car. You look at the bus system and it's simply not an option. So, and I used to be a frequent rider until they scaled it back even more a couple of years ago, and now I'm down to an occasional rider, supplementing it with my single ride bus passes in my wallet when I ride my bike, and I ride my bike because I can. And I like leaving my little SUV parked at home. So I have those options.
You admitted you had an SUV, I'm just saying.
Pardon?
You admitted you had an SUV.
I do. It has a sticker with a bike on it that says my other SUV is a bike. So I do ride the bus when I can, and I like to ride it more. And when you say that, when you look at the numbers and you say that it's going down, part of the reason it's gone down is because they shrank the service. You can't shrink the service and expect the rider numbers to stay when they can't ride it because you shrunk the service. So it is a lost leader. It will provide for a robust economy. It will provide ways for people to get to work and for visitors to have a way to get around town and feel, and like the town. So it really is kind of a job and a necessity. I see that too.
So what we did, because you're exactly right about visitors to our city. When visitors go to a city, by the way, we have in the past, every year, had about 350 to 400 actual conferences and conventions at Century 2 and our convention center. That's bringing people and money from outside in. Those numbers aren't exact, so please, that's why I'm giving you a range. But those visitors, we have gotten many complaints in the past about not having a way because they expect the public transportation system to get them around the city to go where to see our city. That's why we did something at least small and made the Q line free and expanded it in the core area so those people could get around to some of the different venues that we have. But you're right, the bus system as a whole. By the way, Q line ridership is skyrocketed through the roof. I mean, that's amazing. But anyway, I appreciate your comment, Lloyd. And then John.
Well, I won't pass.
Okay, John.
In a public meeting, I asked the man running the bus system, what is that 50-cent increase going to do to the overall revenue for the bus system? He didn't know.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was quite a while
Yeah.
back. But the point is he was running the bus system. Wichita State could have told him pretty much within a range how much it would cost the general revenue for the whole system by just adding 50 cents. Let's forget that. I trust you. I do not trust David Burke. I do not trust Jack DeBoer. I do not trust George Laham. And my own development company would love to buy 10 acres of Platt Park. Could you work it out so that I could buy 10 acres of it?
And I won't work it out.
You know
and I won't work it out so they
putting
can't
birdseed
either.
on you.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I like Robert Layton, but he couldn't even fix animal control. There's a total loss of good management downtown in the glass building. And I'm sorry, that's where most of this trash comes from.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault. You're one vote, but you can be outvoted, and that's what concerns me. You almost need a resolution of the city council that they are absolutely going to do this deal and not let it fall through the cracks, even if it takes beyond your term in office.
Yeah, actually, that's what the master plan would do. It would be a vote of the city council to approve the map. It would then codify that into, officially codify that as an official city document, saying that this is what the public and the city wants to do with this property in the future. And that's what you're looking for. And that's what we have the money for in this budget. And
A guarantee from honest people is what we'd like.
well,
There's too many slipperies down there. They congregate up on the 13th floor.
all I can do is make them vote publicly on it and
Okay.
put it in an official document. But again, that master plan again is going to come with another tour around the neighborhood associations and around. We had 10 for this one. It wouldn't hurt if we had 6 to 10 for that as well. Yes, and then Cindy.
So will golf be able to be discussed in this
Absolutely.
round? Because it wasn't before, James.
So-
And I think, but with the bus system, the parks, the golfing, what we're saying is all of this contributes to our quality of life.
Yes.
And that's what we feel is being taken away. And golf, municipal golf should be affordable and accessible. And we all know that Auburn was subsidized by the amount of $5 million in a wealthy neighborhood. And they have their country club at municipal prices. We have now no longer a course east of the airport and south of Kellogg. And to take it out of the enterprise system is fine. Make it the community park it really is at heart.
You know, yes, this will be the point to where during the actual master planning process, this will be the point that any golfers that want to see golf out there need to come out and ask for golf. Now, I will tell you, the city council has already made their decision to close plat. It would take a decision of the city council to add golf back. But it needs to be discussed if that's your desire. The whole reason why now, first of all, in the WSU product, golf is mentioned as something that was desired by people that attended meetings. So the reason why I steered the discussion toward other amenities is that the public, I need to know, if golf's not going to be out here, what does the public want? Do you want a Costco or a Quick Trip at the corner of the golf course? Or would you rather have a sledding hill, a dog park, walking trails, and those sorts of things? I found out very quickly that nobody wanted anybody living in the park or that space at all. Retail needed to be limited to anything that would support the park. And what I mean by retail would be maybe a small coffee shop so people can grab coffee and walk through the park, maybe a boat and bike rental, that sort of retail. Not clothing, not sporting goods, you know. So the community through the 10 meetings was absolutely adamant, very clear. And those of you that are on the steering committee could even answer or attest to the community's input on that if you want. Who else? Oh, Cindy, go ahead.
James, I just want to say after sitting on the steering committee, as this goes forth to be created into a master plan, will continue to push for and encourage that we make this park a destination park, that we don't settle for just some walkways and a playground and some picnic tables. And of course, I've encouraged that throughout the whole process, that we think bigger, like the Gathering Place in Tulsa, or the Skywalk in Oklahoma City, or other areas of the country that have destination parks that people come to town and they're like, we've got to visit Clatt Park because we hear it's fantastic. And that we don't, that through that master plan process, we don't just sell.
Yeah, I heard that from a couple of people in the committee.
When you talk about having a destination park, this was the first time I've lived in Wichita for about 20 years. I'm not from here, but
this is the first time I heard all of the stuff that was going on out at Watson Park. So you can have everything in the world that you want, but if you don't get it out there to the public, get it out there to someplace outside of Wichita, to let them know this is our destination park, it's not going to go
You're
anywhere.
exactly right. It takes a marketing effort, but at the same time,
But we haven't been doing that even with Watson. I mean, this is
well,
the first
Watson.
time I heard about it.
So 5-6 years ago, we went through the same type of master planning process for Watson Park because it had degraded. It was horrible. It was bad.
Yeah, the first time I was out there, it was like, "Ooh."
And since then, every year in the budget, there are more and more improvements that are being authorized to be made. If you have a nasty park, if you have a park that have bathrooms that you wouldn't have your dog use in it, then people aren't going to come. But now that we have made over the past 3 years those investments in Watson Park, you heard Brian say, they changed how they did their programming now because they could. We bought the new train. Now the train can actually make it all the way around the train track. Attendance is increasing
Thank you.
every year. So
And
that was a
that's
hard
great.
fight too, because if you remember, the city council wanted to close Watson Park as well.
And I think that's great, but again, if you don't let them know, it's like, I think golf died because they didn't advertise enough to get the people to come in with the tournaments.
Well, everybody thought it was closed.
Yeah, I mean, every year, oh, it's closed, we're not
All
gonna
the
come in, oh, it's closed, we're not gonna come in. So I just don't think that there's been a very good marketing around Wichita for what we actually have. Now, I know it's for the children and I don't have children, but it's still something that I would like to go out and see.
I appreciate you saying that. I want to say something real quick about the destination park. So this whole park, you cannot have real intensive park activities on the southern part of the park. By Michael, your house, and Michael's house here. You have neighborhoods around here that would be disturbed. And so you can't do extremely intensive stuff. Now on the northern part, where you're around all the commercial activity, you could do some of those.
And I think that's great.
But destination, something to realize, a destination park would require $200 or $300 million. Yeah. We know, and Cindy knows this as well. Though we would like it, we don't have the private investors to invest like they did down in Tulsa. But we can do something if this is the direction that it heads, we can do something that makes people at least regionally around the area want to come to the area. I'm very concerned on the ancillary side of everything about all the businesses that are continuing to close and all of the properties that are in decline, especially up and down Oliver, up and down Harry. So whatever is done, there needs to be intensive investment in it, marketing, investment. Whether it's a golf course or whether it's a destination park, you can't just build it and assume people are going to come. You have to market it. You have to have a proper marketing campaign.
Unless you're Kevin Costner.
Well, unless you're Kevin Costner, yeah, well,
I'm sorry.
he had a little spiritual help, I think, with that one. But there's some caveats when we talk about that. Who else? Yeah, Sharon, you were.
What I'm wondering is, you say that the park can be used for picnics, walking trails, et cetera, et cetera. Who's going to go in there and have a picnic on the ground? And what are they going to use for restrooms? I mean, what are you going to have to encourage people to go? Because we don't have any money for this or that, and so what are people supposed to do? Are they going to put porta potties out there and picnic tables?
Yeah, first of all, this isn't a case of us not having money. This is
That's what you always hear.
yeah, this is the case of not knowing what we're allocating money to yet. The CIP, though we're voting on it this year, will change next year. The city council, about 3 or 4 years ago, we decided that as we did the CIP and made it a 10-year document, that was too long of a period for us to allocate funds permanently to projects. We don't have a crystal ball to see what's going to happen in the city 3 years from now, let alone 10 years. So we turned the CIP into more of a living document, a document that can be changed over time based on the needs of the community. Now, we still have those projects planned out for 10 years because we got to kind of make a guess, but those projects could be moved forward or backwards or even out as more and more different priorities come in. So just wanted to clarify that for you. As far as a picnic, my family loves to throw a big sheet on the ground and have a traditional picnic. I know not
Younger
everybody.
people can.
Yes, you're correct. I know not everybody can do that. But to take a walk or a stroll through the park, I will tell you, the middle, this is where I've envied golfers. The middle of that golf course, you don't feel like you're in the city. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. It's gorgeous. It's one of the most, it is. It's all, you're right. It's one of the most gorgeous places in our city.
We sneak over there at night.
Do I?
We sneak over there at night and walk.
Michael,
And that's good. That's good.
actually,
And we always accommodate people that come through
Absolutely.
during the day.
Yeah, but you put up signs along the border that said city property and no trespass.
yes, so legally, people aren't supposed to walk on the golf course, but I don't think anybody, even golfers, have been saying anything if people are walking in there being lawful, you know. Even in the middle of the night, Flat Golf Course is abandoned. There's lots of space for people to do not great things in the middle of that golf course, and for the most part, that doesn't happen. For the most part, we still have problems from time to time. So
That's the beauty of a golf course, though. It kind
Okay.
of commands respect.
it does, yes.
I know
And then I'll come.
most people don't like to go to the line, but it's probably one of the closest things to a dark space you'll find if you want to observe stars.
Yeah,
You go clear into the center. I've done it several times when there were activities that were.
meteor showers and yeah.
Yeah.
We don't. I and the community, and I believe the majority of the city council as well, do not want to destroy that aspect of that space. Building that consensus on the council to make sure that this does not get turned into commercial development is a big deal, because in the past that had been seriously discussed by the park board, because the park board ultimately has the authority to sell that property, not the city council. The park board does. The park board can take that money and use it because it's their property. So
Quick question.
Yeah.
Now, the park board, those people are appointed by the county, by the commissioner, right?
it's the city council,
City council appoints a person who represents you,
yes,
park board. So you, one thing you could do is you could get rid of that person.
you
You're
can't,
that way.
you can't, yeah. So I cannot just get rid of people when they don't do something I like on the board, right? I got to be careful how I pick those people that are going to be on those boards. So they reflect not my wishes necessarily, but the community's wishes. That's what we've done. Now,
How much longer is your term?
my term is just 2.5 more years.
2.5, okay.
We were
Um,
concerned what was gonna happen after you left. There's no guarantees. You know, somebody's
Well,
not gonna go on as
no.
bad.
Well, you know what? There are, I think, several people that are interested, and I'm not going to out anybody, that I think would be, actually, there's about 2 or 3 people I think would be amazing, and that would reflect the community that have expressed to me interest. People want me to endorse, people want me to get in front of that, but if I think there are 2 or 3 people that are amazing at that, I'm going to let those 2 or 3 people
But
get,
if we fight the good fight now and win and keep it a partial golf course or our full golf course or anything that's on that, what are our guarantees after you leave? That's,
that's what John was talking about. We need to have an official document that is in place to make sure that the citizens' wishes are codified with a city council vote.
And we do it this year.
And then, well, that vote, the process needs to start this year.
Right.
I don't want this process to be, let's do it, get it done. I want everybody to have ample time to give their input. There's a great example. And then, wait, I got to get to her and then you, okay?
You've already got everybody's input.
Well, yes, but like was said by our golfers, we need now to get a full picture of what the community wants. Not just, okay, if it's not going to be a golf course, what do we have? We need to make sure that we're getting a full picture. I want the example for an official document is the South Central Neighborhood Plan, again, that we just updated. That South Central Neighborhood Plan was done with the community, it was voted on by the city council, and it was codified into a document. That plan drove the investments that were made in the South Central area, which were to include that bike path that's from the Lincoln Street Bridge all the way up, connecting this area, connecting it via a bike path downtown to some of the museums, the Keeper, and all that. This neighborhood's now connected to that. So also in that neighborhood plan, which something that's being done right now is Mount Vernon between Broadway and K15, Broadway and Hillside, not Hillside, sorry, Hydraulic. That's being rebuilt and redone. That was also part of that neighborhood plan, amongst many other city investments. But without that plan in place, the city cannot put the investments in the CIP that it's going to make in the community. So it's going to be extremely important to make sure that gets done.
I know we talked earlier a little bit about.
And by the way, we're going to go to 11 because we're going to let the church volunteers off the hook. 11 is 2 hours, and so.
I know we talked earlier about communicating what all we have out to the people, and I know that we've been more concentrated on the electronic venue, trying to get that out to the people because everybody has a smartphone or whatever.
Right.
Let's say you're a grandparent, you don't have a flipping clue what to do with a cell phone, and your grandchildren come into town, and you don't know about any of this stuff. Where does a person go? We have no newspaper anymore. Right. We have no communication from our
Based on
leaders.
their reporting, go ahead.
Well, but you also said you take a look at how many times did you used to get a letter from your mayor or your governor or whoever in the state? We get nothing. We don't know what's going on. I'm like this lady up here. That's the first time I ever heard what was going on in Watson Park.
Yeah.
You know, if you have people that come into town, they want to go do something. I'm embarrassed by the fact that we have this and we don't even know about it.
So we do have a newsletter we send out by email,
Yeah.
but
Very good one.
mailing.
Manny does a good job.
Oh, Manny does an amazing job, and we're gonna actually switch things up a little bit and start adding video messages also.
I
But-
mean, even at the park and board pamphlet that you put out once a quarter, I mean, isn't there something that, you know, if you're going into at least a grocery store, you can pick it up and know what's going on?
You can pick the park, you're supposed to be able to pick the park and rec guide up at grocery stores, at neighborhood city halls.
But does it include everything?
It
that
does.
tells us?
Absolutely, it's extremely comprehensive. Classes that are available at rec centers, absolutely. But again, that is available, but if people don't know that's available, so we need to do a better job, it sounds like, at making people know that, letting people know that there's a park and rec guide. I'm trying to be fair here. I've got,
Quick comment. The last publication, Park Farm Foul Lake, was 2007. And at that time, they listed 144 small and large parks in the city of Wichita.
Yeah.
And I have no idea where they all are, but I do have this whole publication. I think it's time for some kind of upgrade on that.
yeah, that would be nice, actually, and maybe if that was put in the park and rec guide. Yeah, right. So, yeah.
I want to thank you for the progress on Perry Street.
It's not done yet, but.
Please stay with it till they surface it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we are.
And the other thing, one other thing, you know, this lady'd like to have 9 holes of golf left. You know, that's very expensive to build those greens.
It is.
And at least you could keep them for another 5 years and see how it worked. I don't know how that would fit in the enterprise zone, but keep it going for a little bit. What is it, a water bill? We got a water problem we can't even deal with now. Let's leave that alone.
Well,
But if you kept the
we'll
9
talk about
holes
that at length next
and
week.
did some of the other stuff that you've already planned, there's a real nice list of things that people suggested in here. One of them was keeping 9 holes.
Yeah, it is.
And don't let the park department ruin that infrastructure. They're ready to go in there and tear it all up.
They are. I expressed that to the city manager yesterday. Do not know if that, at this point, that is, all I can do is ask him not to. It's gonna be up to the Park and Rec Department at this point to do what they're going to do for post-closure. You know, I don't know if preserving those greens, to use them somewhere else, or I don't know what they're planning on doing by stripping those greens. I have no idea.
Making sure that we can't put golf there.
So,
Yeah, the comments I've heard were the greens are gonna stay, the only thing they were gonna pull was the heads, the sprinkler heads, is because, they needed some of the newer sprinkler heads that have been installed on the greens recently. They were gonna put them in other locations.
When I talked to the
Falling
city
Auburn
manager,
Hills.
when I talked to the city manager yesterday, he said that he would find out exactly what they're gonna do and report back to me. So we'll see. And of course, we did also address the other issue that had happened, the First Amendment issue. that
Thank you.
out there.
You said you were gonna talk about the library, please don't.
Yep, I can do that. I'll take one more question here.
I
Last
just want
question
to
on
make one comment about when we get back into the master plan finally, and if we do speak of any golf remaining, what we wanted to do and what we thought that they should have been doing all along is CLAPS should have been utilized as the teaching and the learning facility.
Yes.
It's one of the easiest courses for kids, and most people said that's where I learned to play. Okay, it's in our district. It should be cost less. Right now, kids can play for free any golf course. It's totally funded by,
It's a nonprofit organization.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's it called? First Team?
Well,
Well, Rick Navarro.
it's Rick
Oh, okay,
Navarro,
okay.
yes. And the Junior Golf Foundation and the First Tee have all got it. The kids can play free. And there's golf clubs that can be, could be set up there for kids to use. That's what we wanted to see. Keep it as a learning facility, keep it lower price so that, people can learn here. Then they can go onward and go check out and support the rest of the courses,
Well,
But our neighbors should be cheap.
because the game does need to be built. I mean,
It
you need the
needs
next,
to be, and the
you need
youth
the next
are out
generation
there.
of golfers.
Yeah, and they're out there.
So I don't mean to cut the conversation short on this, but I know there's some concern about the library. So my last campaign, the campaign before, I had made a promise that I would push for a Southeast Branch library in District 3, because District 3 doesn't have one. Linwood services District 3 and much of the southeast part of town. I was not on this committee, but a committee of 2 council members and the library board, and some library board members and the director of libraries put together a branch study, studied each one of the branches to see what each one of the branches needed. Everybody knows that in the last budget, and this is what happens. We find out that we're going to have a budget deficit, and all of a sudden, staff knows that they have got to find money, right? Find ways to save money. So they go through and they start making preliminary discussions about things that could happen. Closing Clap Golf Course, closing Linwood Library, closing Evergreen Library. What can we do to balance the budget, because we don't have the option to not balance it. So, the federal government prints money, I guess we could come up with some sort of Wichita currency. I don't know. But that being said, so things and rumors and those sorts of things come out, not just, and we release those because at that point, when we get suggestions by staff, we need to get community input. We got a tremendous amount of community input about Linwood Branch, and we decided to keep it open and decide, you know, we would wait until the branch study was done to figure out what would happen with the whole branch system. So there is, Linwood is being used by a specific group of people that use it at the senior center as a reading room. I think they play cards there. They do all sorts of things. It is a community asset. So when I sat down 2 or 3 weeks ago now with my library board members, which one of them is Lauren Hirsch. If anybody doesn't know Lauren, she lives in Grandview, Meadowlark area. And then Shelby Peterson lives in the South City, K-15 area. Both of them very passionate about the library, very passionate about keeping our branches. And the branch study recommended that Linwood Branch would be moved to the east a mile over in the area of the Wichita Mall. And that the Linwood Branch would be closed. That's what the branch study said. After discussing with the director of libraries the concerns we had with moving it, yes, I want a branch over by, I want an expanded branch. I want to be able to offer more services. I want to be able to offer technical services. I want to be able to offer a bigger space. But also, I don't want to leave a hole with those people that are using Linwood. So she has suggested that we could leave that portion that's being used as a library open as a reading room, that it could still be a community resource. And depending on what people were asking for, we could leave reading materials over there. We could leave it over for people to still get coffee, to still read magazines or whatever they would like. It wouldn't be full service, but it would still be available for those people who like using it. It's kind of a compromise with the library board. It's not exactly what I know everybody wants, but I think in conjunction with, in concert with, a new branch a mile to the east, we could actually make some pretty neat things happen between them. We want to, what we're discussing right now is anywhere between 5,000 and 15,000 square feet. Kind of depends on a partnership with possibly WSU Tech. I think the current space is only 3,500 square feet. It's pretty small. I mean, it's not very big. And so adding another 5,000 square feet, even though a mile away, will at least help us expand. There's a neat story by a girl who came, who's now at KU. Actually, she went overseas, didn't she, on an internship?
Yeah.
I won't say her name, but she came to the city council meeting and she pled for Linwood Branch Library to stay open because she would walk a couple miles every day. No, it was every day after school to go to the Linwood Branch Library to study, to use the resources because it wasn't safe where she was. She was very low income. Her father was a single father and worked, and it was a safe haven for her. She didn't have money to go to KU. She had to rely on her education and scholarships she could get. And so the library supported that. The library continues to support those sorts of people. And I want to make sure that it's available for those people that are in the Hilltop and Plainview neighborhoods, but also Grandview Heights and Meadowlark, for East Mount Vernon, for the Linwood area. Expanding library services only betters our community. speaking of things that are subsidized, that is just one of those services that cities provide. And honestly, with the decline in what's happening in some of our public schools because of funding issues and debates over what needs to be funded or not, I think this is an area where the city can step in and provide a resource to make sure that kids, in this case, I almost said her name, in this case where someone could go above and beyond and educate themselves further in their field of interest. So libraries are very important, and we're doing what we can to make sure we preserve Linwood as a resource. So we still would like to talk about what you'd like to see there.
I just would say thank you. It sounds like a change, but it almost sounds like two where we have one, and I can't argue with that.
It could be. It won't have all the books that it has in it now, obviously, but if the library is running it and there's resources that people want to see over there, they can leave the resources over there. The building's already going to be open. It doesn't cost the library. As a matter of fact, my argument was, no, it's free storage space, right, for books and materials. So, you know, she agreed. The library director agreed and said she would do what she could.
Are they looking for a specific area at the Wichita Mall?
Yeah, actually, where Jimmy's Egg used to be, behind there, that whole, they're totally remodeling that building. It used to be a warehouse. Well, he's doing that. He started that project like 3 or 4 years ago just because the mall was full. You know, he needed more space to lease out. And that project has happened slowly. And now that the branch library study came out, first call I got after that was Max Cole. Oh my gosh, you need to put the library over here. I got a great space for you. And leasing a space right now is what the library board wants to do. They don't want to build brand new because in whole, the library board wants, this just kills me, proof that the community will support something. If the community will come out and support something, then they will consider whether or not something needs to be built. And honestly, I would love to see that someday. But I believe the community will come out and support it, especially with WSU Tech there and the students being able to come over and use the library as well. Some of the technical support. Funny thing we just found out from people. Bus service is right there. Funny thing we found out. I got 2 minutes. Funny thing that we found out. The Burger King over across from Platte Golf Course. That is the local Wi-Fi hangout for everybody in that neighborhood. You go in there and there are dozens of people using the Wi-Fi because they're applying for jobs, they're getting on Facebook, right, social media, they're finding out what's happening in the world. They can't afford Wi-Fi at their own home, they can't afford internet at their own home.
It's too far to go to Colvin.
It's too far to go to Colvin. People, we're finding out, are actually doing GED classes online because those are available online now, college classes. And so having Wi-Fi available for people is important. If we could expand the ability to have public Wi-Fi at our library branch, not just at Colvin, and not somebody having to sit in a greasy Burger King.
Smell like burgers.
It smell like burgers. What we'd like to do is we'd like to offer a free cup of coffee to people to come in, to sit and read. Or at the very least, pay 25 cents for one of those pods, you know, and put it in a Keurig and, you know, have them, you know, something inexpensive, a way for people to come enjoy and have something that we've not had before. So we're working on it. We're working on it. And by the way, the only reason that we are considering leaving Linwood open is because you said something about it. So you deserve a hand.
That's good.
I took your message to the director of libraries. She was like, that makes sense. So thank you. Thank you guys for being here. I want you to please pay attention to Facebook. If you want any materials, Get the materials off wichita.gov. Please, 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 during this master planning process, be involved. I know 2 people that will be. You need to be involved. I know 4 people.
They have to be on
Actually,
Facebook?
I know you 2 very well.
It's a beta.
Yes. Well, absolutely.
Newsletter.
Thank you, guys. I
I
appreciate
will
it.
absolutely publish every opportunity in the newsletter, absolutely.
Who all's gonna be on the?
Okay, except I need to.
There will not be a master planning